$100. That's all I had. January 1st. A single bill sitting in my bank account after the holidays destroyed my savings. And I made a promise to myself. By December 31st, I would turn that $100 into $10,000. No crypto gambling, no get-rich-quick schemes, no selling courses about selling courses. Just real strategies, real discipline, real results. And I actually did it. But here's what nobody tells you. The method wasn't what I expected. The timeline wasn't smooth, and the biggest wins came from the moves that scared me the most. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change how you think about money forever.
Let me be honest with you. I didn't start with some secret knowledge. I started with failure. The year before, I lost $2,000 trying to day trade stocks I knew nothing about. I watched YouTube videos, I followed random people on social media. I thought I was investing. I was gambling, and I lost hard. So when January came around, I only had $100 left, but I also had something more valuable. I had clarity. I realized something crucial. Turning 100 into 10,000 isn't about one big win. It's about consistent, intelligent moves that compound over time. Small edges, repeated constantly. That was my new philosophy.
Here's where most people mess up. They take their $100 and immediately try to flip it. They look for the fastest return, the highest risk, the biggest promise. I did the opposite. I spent my first month building knowledge. I took that $100 and I protected it like my life depended on it, because in a way it did. Instead of investing randomly, I invested in learning. I bought 2 books on behavioral finance and personal investing, $25 total, used copies. I spent 3 weeks reading every single page, taking notes, understanding how markets actually work, how psychology drives decisions, how fear and greed destroy portfolios. And here's the thing. That $75 I had left, I didn't touch it. I waited, I studied, I prepared.
February arrived. I finally understood something important. With limited capital, you can't diversify like the wealthy do. You need concentrated bets on things you actually understand. So I made my first move. I took my $75 and I bought a small position in a dividend-paying stock. Not a meme stock, not a hot tip. A boring, reliable company that paid quarterly dividends. The kind of investment that makes people yawn. But here's what made it brilliant. I set up automatic dividend reinvestment. Every time that company paid out dividends, the money bought more shares automatically. Compound growth, the 8th wonder of the world. That $75 started working for me while I focused on the next step. Now here's the truth bomb. You cannot turn 100 into 10,000 through investing alone. Not in 1 year, not without extreme risk. The math doesn't work. Even with incredible returns, you need more capital. So I did what every smart wealth builder does. I created additional income streams. I looked at my skills. I'm decent with words. I understand social media. I know basic design. So I started freelancing, small jobs, writing product descriptions for online stores, creating social media posts for local businesses, editing articles. Nothing glamorous. I worked nights, weekends, every spare hour, and I set one absolute rule. Every single dollar I earned from freelancing went straight into my investment account. Not some of it, all of it. By the end of February, I had made an extra $300. Combined with my original $75, I now had $375 invested.
March was when things got interesting. My freelance income started growing. Word of mouth brought new clients. I raised my rates slightly. I worked smarter. I earned another $500 that month. But I also did something most people never do. I tracked everything obsessively. Every dollar earned, every dollar invested, every percentage gained. I kept a simple spreadsheet. Income, expenses, investment value, return on investment. I reviewed it every single week. This tracking created something powerful, awareness. I could see exactly where my money was going. I could see what was working, what wasn't. and I could adjust in real time. By the end of March, my investment account had $850, still far from $10,000, but growing steadily. April brought an unexpected lesson. Opportunities don't look like opportunities at first. They look like work. A client asked if I could manage their entire content calendar, social media posts, blog articles, email newsletters, everything. The catch? They wanted a 3-month commitment, $150 per month, fixed rate. Most freelancers would negotiate higher. I said yes immediately. Why? Predictable income. For the next 3 months, I knew I'd earn $450 minimum. That certainty was worth more than a higher rate with uncertainty. I could plan, I could invest consistently. Consistency beats intensity every single time. That contract added $450 to my investment capital over the next 90 days.
By May, I had $2,000 invested. This was the moment I diversified, not into dozens of things, into 3 carefully chosen areas. First, I kept my dividend stocks. They were boring but reliable, steady growth. Second, I allocated $500 to an index fund, broad market exposure, long-term stability. Third, and this is where it gets interesting, I put $300 into a high-yield savings account. I know what you're thinking. Savings accounts don't make you rich. You're right, but here's what they do. They give you dry powder, cash ready for opportunities. When something unexpected comes up, you don't have to sell your investments at a bad time. You have reserves. This 3-part strategy became my foundation. June was different. I spent $200 on something unusual, an online course about digital marketing. Not investing, marketing. Why? Because I realized something. My ability to earn was my most valuable asset. If I could increase my income by even 20%, that was better than most investment returns. I finished that course in 3 weeks. I applied everything immediately. My freelance rates went up. My client results improved. By the end of June, I was earning $700 per month from freelancing. That's an extra $300 monthly compared to where I started. That $200 course paid for itself in less than 1 month. July almost broke me. A client disappeared without paying. $400 gone, just vanished. I felt sick, angry, defeated. This is where most people quit. They hit one setback and they convince themselves it's not worth it. But I remembered something I read in those books from January. Setbacks are part of the game. The only question is how you respond. So I responded with discipline. I kept my investment schedule exactly the same. I found a new client within 2 weeks. I didn't panic, I didn't make emotional decisions, and by the end of July, despite the setback, my investment account had grown to $4,200. The compound effect was starting to show.
August was when everything clicked. My investments had grown to almost $5,000 through contributions and market gains. My freelance income hit $900 for the month. But something else happened. One of my clients offered me equity in their startup instead of cash for a project. 5% ownership in exchange for 3 months of marketing work. This was risky. Startups fail constantly, but I evaluated it carefully. The company had real revenue, real customers, a solid business model. I negotiated. I'd take 2% equity plus half my normal cash rate. This gave me upside potential while maintaining income. That decision would prove crucial later.
September tested everything. The market dipped, my portfolio value dropped by $300 in 2 weeks, clients became scarce, income slowed. These are the moments that separate winners from losers. I didn't check my portfolio every hour. I didn't panic sell. I stuck to the plan. I even bought more shares during the dip. When everyone else is fearful, that's when opportunity appears. I kept working. I kept investing. I trusted the process. By the end of September, the market recovered. My portfolio bounced back. and I had $6,800 invested.
October brought the breakthrough. Remember that startup equity? The company got acquired. My 2% stake was worth $2,300. I wasn't rich, but this single decision added massive value. I took half of it and reinvested. The other half went into my emergency fund. This taught me something vital. Wealth building isn't just about saving and investing. It's about creating asymmetric opportunities, situations where your downside is limited, but your upside is huge. That equity deal was exactly that. I risked some time and accepted lower pay, but the potential payoff was enormous, and it worked.
November was pure execution. My portfolio stood at $8,500. I needed $1,500 more to hit my goal. I increased my freelance hours. I took on an extra project. I worked harder than I had all year. But I also worked smarter. I raised my rates again. I focused only on high-value clients. I said no to small, time-consuming jobs. Every dollar earned went straight into investments. No exceptions, no excuses. By November 30th, I had $9,400. So close.
December was a blur. I found 2 new clients. I negotiated higher rates than ever before. My confidence had grown with my bank account. I understood my value. I invested every single dollar I earned. And on December 20th, I checked my account. $10,147. I sat there staring at the screen. I had done it. $100 in January, over $10,000 in December. But here's what really mattered. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was system.
Let me break down what actually worked. First, compound growth is real, but it needs fuel. My investments grew, but my income growth was the rocket fuel. Second, diversification matters, but not how most people think. I diversified my income sources, not just my investments. Third, knowledge is leverage. Every dollar spent learning paid back tenfold. Fourth, consistency beats intensity. I didn't have any massive wins. I had hundreds of small wins that compounded. Fifth, setbacks are guaranteed. Your response to them determines everything. And finally, the goal wasn't really $10,000. The goal was becoming the type of person who could turn 100 into 10,000.
I need to be completely honest. This isn't easy. This isn't fast. This isn't passive. I worked insane hours. I sacrificed weekends. I said no to events with friends. I lived frugally. I made hard choices every single day. Some of you watching this will try and quit after 1 month. That's fine. This path isn't for everyone. But if you're serious, if you're committed, if you're willing to do what most people won't, then you can achieve what most people can't. The strategies I used aren't secret. The knowledge isn't hidden. The only question is whether you'll actually do the work. So there it is. $100 to $10,000 in 1 year. No scam, no scheme, just strategy, discipline, and relentless execution. If you want to replicate this, start simple. Pick one income source to increase. Pick one investment strategy to learn. Pick one habit to build. Start small, stay consistent, track everything. And remember, wealth isn't built in viral moments. It's built in quiet hours when nobody's watching, when you're learning instead of scrolling, when you're working instead of wishing, when you're investing instead of spending. That's where transformation happens. Now stop watching, start building. Your $100 is waiting. What you do with it is up to you.